the season finale of the BL show. I'm Naomi. This inaugural season challenged us and propelled us beyond our expectations. We were inspired by all of our extraordinary guests with topics ranging from mental health, COVID-19 survivors, police brutality, resilient business owners, and our beloved Haiti. What can this period of pandemic teach us about education models and various forms of education? Today, we have one educator story on building community during COVID-19 with Principal in Residence Peggy Shelton. The debate over healthcare rolls on into another presidential election year. If you are wondering, did we not take care of the healthcare issue back in 2010 when Obamacare became law? There is a short answer and a long answer. Which pill do you have the tolerance for?
How do Democrats plan to pay for Medicare?
Well, actually, Nixon did have a health care plan.
And if you notice, nobody's yet said how much it's going to cost.
It says that we will no longer have private insurance as we know it.
Is healthcare a right or a luxury?
You will have the finest healthcare plan.
But we have an employer-based system.
If you send me legislation that does not guarantee every American private health insurance that can never be taken away, you will force me to take this pen, veto the legislation, and we'll come right back here and start all over again.
President Bill Clinton attempted healthcare reform, but failed. When President George W. Bush decided to tackle this issue, his Medicare reform increased the cost of drugs.
No longer will older Americans be denied the healing miracle of modern medicine.
Significant healthcare insurance was enacted by President Barack Obama.
It was families who were worried about going bankrupt if they got sick.
We are done.
Half a decade later, the Trump administration fights to whittle down the Affordable Care Act in the courts, which will further damage health care for the individual.
But as we work to improve Americans' health care,
but increase the profits for vested interests.
Take away your doctor and abolish private insurance entirely.
The legislation I just laid down is called the Health Care Freedom Act, and it restores freedom to Americans that Obamacare took away.
The average working family is going to struggle to get health care.
It was families who were worried about going bankrupt if they got sick.
We'll have the finest health care plan with a single payer plan, which would be a disaster. Somewhat issued to Canada. 132 lawmakers in this room have endorsed legislation.
You know, that's a very important question. Everyone asks that. They wonder,
why is it so difficult for Americans here in the United States, even during a time of pandemic, to find health care?
we understand our model very well. We know that in order to keep the integrity of the experience of direct primary care, healthcare and access to healthcare has been an issue for a while. And even when we had the Affordable Care Act, the passing of it was intentionally to increase more access to healthcare. And as you know, in order for people to access healthcare, they have to find some sort of health insurance to pay for the services. And so people who are unemployed, people who have small businesses, who are working for themselves, that amount for them to pay to access healthcare can be overreaching, so to speak. When we think about community level care, we have to understand the folks that are in our community. We have a lot of small business owners, people who don't have steady jobs, who are not employed by major employers that would typically offer them health insurance. And so our community is very diverse. Not to mention, we have a lot of international folks, undocumented folks, immigrants that may or may not be eligible for some sort of benefits here in the U.S. That's the reality of our community. And
yes, it is.
And so with that reality, you will get to appreciate the difficulties around accessing healthcare.
It is relatively safe to call healthcare a business. In an article by Nick T. Sawyer, he brought clarity to the subject. Healthcare organizes doctors and patients into a system where that relationship can be financially exploited and as much money extracted as often as possible by hospitals, clinics, health insurers, the pharmaceutical industry, and medical device manufacturers. In an article in GQ magazine by Talia Levine, she writes, although GoFundMe offers an abundance of categories to fundraise, 1/3 of the fundraising campaigns on the site are for medical expenses, according to the company. A search for cancer on the site turned up 3.1 million fundraising campaigns. A search for the term health insurance returns 1 million campaigns. Scanning through them is a brief glimpse into a maelstrom of social collapse. Crowdfunding sites alone displays the depressing condition of the American health system. On a micro level, Dr. Coupet, born to Haitian parents in Brooklyn, New York, has taken the initiative to provide health care to local residents through an arrangement called direct primary care.
And we are a strong proponent of avoiding delays, and making sure that everyone has timely care. You know, direct primary care is both a financial model and a delivery model. The financial model is this. It's a membership program where one would pay a membership fee. All the direct primary cares around the nation average about $75 a month for this membership, just like paying a gym membership. Mm-hmm. With that membership, you have complete access to the physician's services.
We are now seeing the difficulty within our community for those who do not have access to healthcare and do not have access to a primary care physician.
In a direct primary care office, those providers don't see 35 or 40 patients a day. So they can afford to spend much more time with their patients. So those providers are seeing more like 10 patients a day. And so patients can experience 30 minutes, even 40 minutes with their provider to have conversations about their care and to feel like they're being heard, to better get a full sense of what it is. Think about the box of healthcare. Mm-hmm. The box of healthcare consists of a lot of different things. It consists of surgery, plastic surgery, pharmaceuticals, you name it. And so as you can imagine, the expense of this box is going to be higher. And when people try to offer you that box, you can see that costs will be a factor. And what we've done with direct primary care is simply just take away primary care, chronic disease management outside of that box, and to offer it directly to our community. And that is where the value is. You know, it's very hard to think about national health care when people are dying.
On Medicare for All, costs are going to go up for wealthier individuals and costs are going to go up for giant corporations.
Every study done shows that Medicare for All is the most cost-effective approach to providing health care to every man, woman, and child.
So how do we address people and how do we keep them from getting sick? And I always tell people the nucleus of healthcare is the patient and doctor relationship.
So one of the things that I really admire of what you have put together here is the fact that you are giving people an opportunity to get service no matter how much they make.
Direct primary care offers a cost advantage, mm-hmm. especially around essential medications.
And honestly, it puts me in a position where I say, wow, this is just a phenomenal approach to healthcare and really gives the person that connection. I think about watching old movies and seeing the doctor with the doctor bag coming to your house and you literally being at your bedside. And that's the feel that I got, or that I'm getting from the services that you want to offer and that connection.
To me, it was a natural fit. Before I started direct primary care about 3.5 years ago, I was the chief of hospital medicine at a local hospital here. And, I was able to witness a lot of morbidity and mortality in the hospital. And the people who were really getting sick, they look like me. They speak the same language as I do. They eat the same food as I do. And so it was natural for them to gravitate to me to say, doctor, we want you to take care of us. But I was able to ask an important question. Why don't you have access? What's going on in the community that you have to wait for your blood pressure to be so out of control to end up in the hospital, or your diabetes out of control? And I started asking questions, and naturally I realized there was an issue around access. There was also issues around quality, where people weren't experiencing the quality of care that they deserve. And lastly, of course, cost was a major factor. And so as I was looking for solutions in a community that I'm part of, I realized that the natural thing to do is to offer a service that most people can have access to, one that provides amazing quality and reduces people's out-of-pocket costs. And so it was naturally for me to see the benefit of that.
So let me ask you, what about pre-existing conditions? How does that work?
Well, to be honest, we know a lot of our people in our community are sick, and they have a lot of medical problems. But those things don't matter to us. In fact, if you're sick, I think there's a perfect place to be, because what we are valued is for controlling these diseases as soon as possible. And so if somebody has high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, the day one they come into the office, our goal is to manage those diseases, and more importantly, so our patients can live a quality life moving forward.
For many of us, when we walk into that doctor's office, you're on a time clock, and it's just like somebody pressed that button, and you have to literally communicate as fast as you possibly can what you're feeling, what's going through your body, and he's just taking notes, and ultimately, you may not even get that 2-minute assessment, if you will. He has to literally, within that 2 seconds, tell you, okay, this is what I'm going to prescribe, this is what I'm going to do. So this really gives you that one-on-one feeling that I think for many of us in our community, we probably have never experienced before.
Absolutely. You're referring to the nucleus of medicine, that human-to-human interaction, that one-to-one. A physician, a patient-doctor relationship is very sacred. It's a space that builds trust. It's a space that builds comfort and creates possibilities for our patients. And so it would be wrong to rush that experience. And so our providers don't see 35 patients a day, so they can't afford to spend that much time with their patients. And so since they're seeing 10 patients a day, they can spend 40 minutes with them in the room and have a conversation, because healthcare should not be intimidating. And so when you go see your doctor, a lot of patients speak that they are interviewed, and sometimes they forget.
That's the truth.
They get nervous.
That's
exactly.
the truth.
And so we have conversations with our patients. We get to know them as a human being. There are things we know about our patients that they're shocked that we know, like their birthdays and how many kids they have, etc. And what's beautiful about it is because we provide this comprehensive service that includes behavioral health. So the mental health of our patients are important. Anxiety, depression, even worry that we see that most of our patients have, and having the team of the psychologists, they really support our patients. So this really feels like home to them, a place of healing. So I think we're in the right place. We are enjoying the work that we're doing, and our patients are benefiting greatly from this. We bring humanity back into healthcare. And the aspect of human touch, the aspect of having a relationship with the people you serve is so paramount, especially in this type of model. Yes. And that's what our community needs. And, they don't have to be rich to afford concierge medicine, right? They don't have to be rich to have a private doctor anymore. We developed a model that makes sense, and that's what they deserve.
Stay tuned for health updates with Dr. Sidney Coupet when we return for season 2, only on the BL Show with Naomi. Up next, one educated story on building community during COVID-19 with Principal in Residence Peggy Shelton, only on the BL Show. Due to COVID-19, many organizations need a safe and equipped place to host meetings and to broadcast live on many social media platforms. BL Workspace can help. All you really need to do is come in and start your live events with whom you wish to connect with. You can connect with church congregations, small businesses, or throw a concert. We are here to help. With a crew of 1 or 2 people and with a strict social distance protocol in place, this is the place where you can hold your virtual meetings. BL Workspace, connecting people and organizations. Call us now to book 786-440-8121. You can also connect with us on Instagram at BL Workspaces. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel just below. We want to stay connected with you. Welcome to the BL Show. Today we are honored to have with us educator and principal in resident, Peggy Shelton. Welcome, Peggy. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Peggy, the honor is ours. Listen, as I was introducing you, I really wanted to know what exactly is a principal in residence.
Yes, thank you for asking. Quite a few charter schools have adopted this new position, and essentially it's a sort of like a mentorship program where you work alongside a sitting school leader or principal to learn from them. You're usually paired with someone who has proven results and have been in the seat for quite a few years.
So Peggy, that means that pretty soon you're going to be a principal, huh?
That's right.
Great to know. Peggy, we know with the pandemic, education will never be the same. With COVID-19, how has schools rapidly changed the basic way they do their work?
Essentially, schools are made up of 2 pillars, right? Academic and culture. And we've had to take those 2, marry them together and create a space where they can live online. And while it's been challenging, there's also been a lot of wins and a lot of growth that has come from the process for us and for our students.
Peggy, tell us some of the challenges and the growths.
Yeah. So some of the challenges have been ensuring that all the students have access to technology. Right. In addition to having access to technology, ensuring that all the students have access to Wi-Fi. Right. And there's been situations where, OK, well, we got you a computer. We got Wi-Fi set up for you. OK, now your lights are off. OK, so that we need to support you and make sure that we get you what you need to be able to provide that to your family. So no family looked the same and all the needs were very different. But it's definitely been interesting to navigate those waters.
You know, Peggy, I'm sure that when the children were in the classroom, it may have been easier for you as a teacher or for the administration to recognize these needs. But with the children being at home and they may not necessarily be able to communicate those needs, what have you guys been doing in order to identify those needs?
I've definitely, and my staff and I have definitely had to leverage our relationships with our students and with our families, knowing that we're the people that care about you. We're the people that take care of your babies when you drop them off at 7:15 in the morning. And so in light of it being a pandemic, I think because of those relationships, families were more apt to say like, hey, I'm struggling with this or I need help with this. And I think that even for some families who we know have struggled and we've supported, I think they were a lot more open this time around because we all know that there's a pandemic and there's needs.
We're all in this together, right?
All in this together.
Peggy, how is the landscape of education and teaching students changing?
It's changing because there are so many things that we've learned through this process of going completely online, like with our staff, with our students, with our families. There's a lot of things that work. I've seen students who struggled within our brick and mortar completely flourish on the online platform. And so with that in mind, it's definitely things that we want to bring into the school year, even when we're back in the building. So that might look like, hey, maybe tutorials should be online. That'll give students a chance to get experience a different lens, right? Similar to what they're doing now. And just thinking about teachers who have to get home to their own scholars to help them out as well.
So although this has been a very difficult time for educators, it's definitely highlighting some great opportunities for the future.
Absolutely. And I've seen just teachers just flourish. People are so committed to the work, to their schools, to their kids. And even with the pandemic, like so many of them are just so excited to get back in. They just can't wait. When do I get to set up my classroom? When do I get to be, with my kids? So it's just been really great to see.
Peggy, that actually ties into my next question. What lessons can educators like yourself learn from this?
The first lesson is that anything is possible. We have taken such a hard situation and done the best that we can for our students. And so we've seen teachers and students who have struggled historically just make a complete turnaround, and then that's to be celebrated, and they're willing to do the work, which is like super exciting. Another lesson that I've learned through this process is that it's okay not to do things the way that you've always done it. It's okay to shake it up. It's okay to accept change and just be open to the possibilities of what those changes bring.
What a thought, right? Change can actually be a good thing.
Yes, especially for me. Yeah, sort of like things to be like a certain way, but there's just been so much growth through this process. And while it's been really tough, I just feel like the lessons that I've learned, that my students have learned, that my staff has learned, it's going to be adding value to what we bring to kids every year for years to come.
And as a community, right, we have to be open to change and we have to be flexible.
Absolutely.
And I think COVID has caused us to be extremely flexible in ways that we did not even think was imaginable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've gotten so many text messages and calls from parents saying, I don't know how y'all do that. I mean, what? You guys need a raise. And I was like, yeah, think of that the next time you go vote. And I think that it's helped us build a deeper relationship where we understand what each of us are going through, especially for my parents or that are teachers, right? Understanding what they're doing and what their son or their daughter's teacher is doing to really support them. I think it's brought us really close together.
I absolutely love it. Peggy, COVID is forcing parents to be teachers and forcing everyone, students, parents, and teachers to adapt to online learning tools. What are some of the great stories that have come out of learning online?
I think in a lot of ways, our students are inviting us into their homes in a way that they never have before, right? It's different to like set up an appointment, set up a time to come and speak to your parents at your home, but just on a day-to-day basis, welcoming us into their homes. So it's been like, you jump into an online platform to video chat with a kid to help them out with some homework or with an assignment, and you see kind of mom in the background getting dinner ready, little brother running across the screen. So it's just been like, okay, we're in your house, we're in this together, and we both have life going on in the background, right? And then just that sense of understanding, like, okay, we both have things going on, but we're here together and we're doing this work together.
Do you think that that's actually bridging the gap with parents?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that it's just a deeper level of understanding that we have now for the work that we both do. And not to say that it went unnoticed, but I think it's definitely brought it to the forefront of everyone's mind.
Peggy, a shift to some online tools could shift the role of teachers, making them more like coaches and mentors. What are your thoughts on that?
I think essentially a teacher does wear a coach hat. They do wear the hat of a mentor. They do wear the hat of a nurse, and sometimes even a mom or a dad in the classroom. And so I think that this situation has caused people to see their role, the teacher's role, in a different light. Right. And even see our school buildings in a different light. This is the first time that, I've heard outside of my educator circle, there's a lot of kids who won't have a meal because school is closed. And so we know that our buildings are not just giving students an education. We're providing hot meals. We're providing mentorship. We're providing counseling. There's just so much that goes on that's provided to students within the 8 hours that we have them.
Wow, that was really touching. As a parent myself, I knew that when I dropped my son off to school, I am believing that they have his best interest at heart, and I do not have to worry about him. And so to hear you say that as an educator, as an administrator, is very comforting, because I know for a lot of parents, the child spend more time in school than at home. And for them right now, it's the other way around.
Right.
And so they really understand the plight of the educators, and really understand how difficult it is to be a teacher and to do what you guys do. I absolutely commend you. I honor and I celebrate the educators of today, because we know that it is not normal. This pandemic has put us in a position where we did not even realize, right, that it was even possible, right, for a parent to actually have to be home teaching your child. That's something we've never had to think about. And if you taught your child at home, it's because you like to do it, right? It was just part of your extracurricular activity, or just homework time. But it's not just homework time.
Right.
It's classes in session. So absolutely, thank you so much for everything that you've shared with us. And I know that your work as an educator has taken you beyond your state of Texas. Tell us about some of the work that you've done outside of Texas.
Oh, thank you. Probably one of my most memorable experiences is the time that I spent in Haiti. I supported a school in Haitian with their curriculum and doing some professional development with their teachers. And it was probably the most eye-opening experience that I've had to date. I think the teachers were just so willing to learn a different way of doing things. And I learned so much from them and their practice and what they were doing. I didn't realize how much we have in common as far as like a bilingual sort of program, with students learning Creole and French, and then like the students in my community that I work with learning Spanish and English at the same time.
Peggy, I'm sure there are so many educators watching this show. If you had to give them some words of encouragement during this pandemic, what would they be?
First, I would just say thank you. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your heart. Thank you, even in this pandemic, taking time away from your family to pour into other families. We just can't do this work without you. So I would definitely want to say thank you. And just, I'm excited about you bringing all of the things that you've learned into your workspaces next year, hopefully.
And Peggy, what about the parents? What would you say to them?
We are in this together. You did it. You became a teacher. You, checked homework and made sure kids logged on and asked questions when you had them. And so, don't lose that spirit. Don't lose that fight. You didn't know that you could do it, and look at you. You did it. So, I commend you all the parents, on their efforts of, just supporting their scholar in a very different way than they might have in the past. And, I just look forward to that. Continue building that in the future.
Peggy, we know that as an educator, you take your work home with you. What do you do to balance life?
Oh, I should have known you were going to ask me that on the BL show. I think it's important to surround yourself with people who also have a good gauge on what balance looks like. Right? So that they can hold you accountable. Right? And so if I'm like working late on a Saturday, one of my girlfriends, she's also an administrator and educator, she'll call me. She goes, all right, 8 o'clock, I'm going to call you back. You need to be done. Right? So people that's going to support
accountability.
You. For sure. And that's been really helpful. And just like knowing yourself and knowing what you need. I make the moments that I'm in the building count. This is not the job where you get to take the hat off for the weekend. I think you're always a school leader when you're a school leader, right? You're always an educator when you're an educator. And so just understand, like, this is a part of who I am. It's a part of my life. And I need to make sure that I'm giving to all areas of my life.
Peggy, thank you so very much for accepting our invitation to be on the BL show. We honor you, we celebrate you, and we look forward to having you again. We'll be right back. Due to COVID-19, many organizations need a safe and equipped place to host meetings and to broadcast live on many social media platforms. BL Workspace can help. All you really need to do is come in and start your live events with whom you wish to connect with. You can connect with church congregations, small businesses, or throw a concert. We are here to help. With a crew of 1 or 2 people and with a strict social distance protocol in place, this is the place where you can hold your virtual meetings. BL Workspace, connecting people and organizations. Call us now to book 786-440-8121. You can also connect with us on Instagram at BL Workspaces. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel just below. We want to stay connected with you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap. This concludes season 1 of the BL Show. We want to thank everyone who tuned in weekly for the BL Show with Naomi. As we prepare for season 2, we invite you to promote your product and service on the BL Show with Naomi. To do so, please contact @Skylight Films on Instagram. Until next time, cheers to our new normal.